Call this meeting to order at 18:30 hours. In recognition of the public would be our famous cameraman Ian and Drew Hazelton from Rescue. And our distinguished town clerk. Approval of minutes would be next.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I will reiterate, I like the new format. I think it's really nice and readable, easy to find topics. It's great.
Oh. Did we get it all in favor?
Yes.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
We can shoot them later.
Okay. What are you going to do?
I don't know. I just don't want to do it on camera.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Next item on the agenda would be Rescue Week for Drew Hazelton. There seemed to be a lot flying around about rescue. And of course, Putney made the big headlines with their proposition to maybe go to someone else for. So it created some nervousness, I guess, to use that term. Well, I have a few questions I can answer. And we know that Rescue is a non-profit private entity, but is subsidized by the towns. Now, what portion of your money comes from towns, roughly?
About 20%.
About 20%. Okay. Okay, the rest of these I'm going to run them down so that Ian won't have to keep turning the camera around and hurt his neck there. My question would be, you've had a lot of resignations in the last 6 months, 8 months. You claim you have legal issues, and the taxpayer is going to pay for that. And you also here you have harassment, intimidation, stuff going on inside, internally. And are you following your bylaws and state and federal regulations and all of that stuff? Those are my questions.
Well, I guess I can. It's not a whole lot of that I can actually speak to in kind of a public session. I'd be glad to get into more details, specifics of personnel and stuff. Obviously, I can't speak to here in an open forum. Rescue is currently in a transition phase with the management structure changing, as well as the kind of direction of healthcare in general changing. Rescue has been changing with that. So we've been making a fair amount of adjustments to our daily operation, to our staffing, to our scheduling, as well as to some of the services that we're providing. We've seen a huge increase in the quantity of patients that need to be moved from one facility to another. So our inter-facility volume is on the rise. Specifically, most of those transfers are going to Dartmouth. So it's been a change for us. We're still working on changing to meet the new healthcare regulations. We've had changes in the way that we do our billing practices. That are helping to address some of the changes that are coming through healthcare reform, helping us to recover more of the billables for our ambulance calls.
Drew, you talked about changement in the management structure. Could you tell me a little bit more about what it was, what it's changing to, and why this change is happening?
Our longtime CFO retired last December, 1st of January of 2013. We had a resignation of our longtime Chief of Operations, Mark Considine. We were in the process.
So Mark resigned?
Mark did. He resigned his position as chief.
Okay. But he was just the in charge of operations. The CFO was a different person.
Correct.
And David Dunn, way back, had been CFO or CEO? Or?
CEO.
CEO.
And you do not have a CEO?
We do not currently have a CEO.
Haven't since David left?
Correct.
Mark was kind of doing that?
Yep. It was once David left, it was a...
Was he an executive director or a CEO?
Executive director.
Okay.
Mark?
David
Dunn.
Okay, thank you.
That responsibility was shared between Mark Considine and Linda Goss in the period between David Dunn's resignation and in this year.
And so that sort of let me know what the management structure was, and it's changing too?
The board has rescues governed by bylaws, as you mentioned. Recently, in November, the membership voted to put the executive director position back into our bylaws, and it's my belief that the board is going to pursue hiring an executive director sometime in the near future. When Mark resigned, I was placed in the position of interim chief while they worked through the process of permanent new management structure at Rescue.
Where are they going to look for that ED?
There's a committee that's been put together. I'm assuming they're going to look through national publications.
So in a sense, the management structure, you're actually going back to a structure that you had
Correct.
previously.
Yep.
David left, I don't remember how many years ago, 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah.
And so since then, you've had Mark acting as a chief of operations, not really as an executive director.
Correct.
And you've had a CFO who left.
Correct.
Is the CFO going to be replaced?
I don't believe so.
So the executive director will be taking on the operations and the financial.
I believe that's going to be the structure. Yeah.
And I guess, is that what David had done?
Yes.
Who will be overseeing?
Because when David Dunn was there, Linda Goss was the
Yeah,
CFO.
he's
Okay.
Linda-
So he didn't oversee that.
Thank you. That's what I was wondering.
So there's been nobody else overseeing financials since Linda left.
We had a CFO lead ship for a period of about 6 months.
Okay. But nobody presently.
Are your finances all going to be in the hands of one person, or are you going to have some checks and balances?
Right now, our finances are being handled by our finance committee. It's a standing committee of our board. The exact structure the board comes up with, whether they decide to have an office manager answering to an executive director or put the CFO back in place, that's a board decision. They haven't concluded on that. The position chief financial officer does still exist in our bylaws. When the bylaws change was passed in November, it allowed for the executive director, chief of operations, and the CFO to be present. Exactly what combination the board decides to go with is for the board to decide.
How do you elect your officers or promotions?
For
Or any, say, captain?
that's at the discretion of the chief of operations. There's not an election.
And Mark's been gone how long?
Mark actually still works for Rescue.
But he's been out of that position,
About 6 months.
so there's not been any captain promotions since then? Or?
We've made some adjustments in our staffing, as well as promoted some folks to different areas.
We keep sending you representatives from town, and you keep telling us you can't handle them. Will you care to explain that?
I think that's more a board question.
I think that's a board.
Yeah,
Also, my
yeah.
understanding is, I mean, I looked at what she sent us, but it's. I mean, go ahead, let him answer it. But it's
Well,
the bylaws seem to be
yeah,
clear about that.
he should know.
Yeah, sorry.
Would you like me to answer?
Yeah, sorry.
There are certain restrictions in the bylaws for who is allowed to serve as a member of the board. There's also certain restrictions in our collective bargaining unit where paid members of the organization can't sit on the board.
What if the towns went back to a member of the select board would serve as a representative? What effect did that have?
It would be fine. As long as that person wasn't receiving a paycheck from Rescue, then it shouldn't be a conflict.
You know, one thing that was interesting to me, Drew, and this has been a problem since I wanted to get, I think it was Richard Davis appointed, that there's that clause that when we send a representative, they have to sign sort of a loyalty oath to Rescue.
Yeah.
And it's, correct me if I'm misspeaking, but it seems like, Richard said he couldn't sign that, and my sense is the person who's representing Guilford is representing Guilford, and Guilford's interests, and Putney and all the other towns, and that thing. I mean, I can't remember if we talked about that, Penny, when you became the representative or what, but I don't understand that. That seems a little odd to me.
Yeah, and actually, I
That
didn't
is it.
sign
I
anything,
don't
so.
think that exists.
It did when David was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It actually is still in your bylaws.
Yeah,
It is.
okay, I saw it in the bylaws
Because
just
I saw it
recently.
in
Yeah,
there.
it's in the bylaws, but I didn't sign
Okay.
anything.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any such document, but that doesn't mean that the board doesn't have
Yeah.
something, but I'm not aware of that.
Okay, so that's that. I saw it again quite recently.
Yeah.
It was
No,
highlighted
it
in the
was.
thing that
Yep.
Kathy
Yep.
Hagee sent us, and I just thought, wow, that seems odd.
Do we know approximately how many people live in Putney, Katie? Approximately?
Like 4,000 or something like that.
It's more than here. I don't know there.
I think it's about.
Do we know about what they
there is,
pay a year?
56, I want to say. About.
They pay about $56,000.
That's what their assessment would have been.
Okay, so my question to you, Drew, is if Putney does go with what they say in Golden Cross, that's going to be almost a $30,000 loss for you guys. Is the other towns going to have to suck that up?
The way that Rescue is kind of laid out as a cooperative amongst all the towns, the overall costs are shared amongst all the towns. So
Per capita, right?
per capita. We are in the process, and we have been now for 6 months, making adjustments in the way that we do our business to generate more revenue. So that the net impact of that will be less than it would have been if we were continuing to operate the way we were. That is, an increase in transfer volume, an increase in billable revenue.
One of the questions I was asked that caught me totally by surprise was, okay, you send out these forms for people to donate money for, families and whatever individuals. Say, for instance, Putney. I'm sure they had people that they signed up for that. Now, if Putney goes with their other
Golden
ambulance service, are you still responsible for those people that made that donation?
That's a good question. The subscription service that you're speaking of goes from July 1st to July 1st. If Putney should decide to go with Golden Cross, that service change wouldn't happen until the 1st of July, which would be the start of a new subscription year. And we would certainly honor those subscriptions to the end of the year. They also cover non-emergency transports, so it's very possible that Putney residents could still wish to have the benefit of the subscription for the non-emergency.
I understand there's a huge amount of rescue calls that you have to respond to that are, and I hate to use this term, but I will, trivial in basically the cut fingers, things like that back before rescue was formed, you throw them in a car and took them to the hospital. And now rescue is more or less a transportation venue for minor injuries, so to speak. You have to respond to those, am I correct?
Correct.
Yes.
I guess it's disappointing to me, and I don't know all the details. And I think, to a certain extent, it's kind of the same issue we're having with Wyndham Solid Waste. We have these regional services that are vital to our towns, and it's hard when there are two things happening. First of all, they seem to be in some degree of turmoil. That's really hard. And also, they seem to be really expensive, and that's hard. Putney, by the way, is only $2,600, according to
Oh, yeah.
2,600 people.
Yeah. So I just, I just am, I'm saddened that, that this is the case, that there is this turmoil ongoing, and it just, it feels, I feel like we're caught between a rock and a hard place in both these cases, because in the case of rescue, I'd rather not go to Golden Cross or just as sort of a driving service with a bed in it, which is kind of what that is, as opposed to the paramedics and the trained staff that rescue
That'd be
has.
fine
But
with me.
it just feels like we're in a tough
Yeah,
position. I think all the towns
yeah,
are, and I just think that's too bad.
Yes,
Yeah, we did level fund this year.
Mhm.
And part of the reason why we did level fund this year is understanding that the towns are in a tough financial position. We are also facing a huge unknown this year. Anybody that's been trying to get a hold of Vermont Health Connect to figure out how that process is going to work can understand kind of the situation we're in. The idea of the universal health care is that everybody will have some sort of health insurance, so the large percentage of people that we transport that have no way of paying should reduce. But we have no way of knowing that. Right now, as many folks know, they don't have insurance cards. They can't actually communicate with anybody, and they have no idea if they have insurance or not. So until we can get some time behind us to know how does that actually affect the bottom line, the revenue side, we won't really be able to know what the total effect of health insurance reform is.
I understand, and I think that's an unknown for everybody. I guess I'm more concerned about some of the knowns, and I'm concerned about. I mean, Penny as our representative, it was being a representative to rescue. It's a really heavy responsibility. That seems pretty tough. So finding a person who will take that on seems difficult. It seems that the organization has been in turmoil for a number of years. I don't know what, I mean, I don't have, you had good specific questions. I'm just voicing my concern and unhappiness with the fact that we're in this situation, you're in this situation, regardless of Vermont Health Connect and those variables that nobody can control.
Well, it's been such a vital organization. The original rescue was half of them were guys I graduated from high school with. And they were volunteers, and they had that old van, and they did what they had to do. And to see it go where it is today, where it seems to be doubt in people's minds if rescue is going to hang on or not.
It seems to be what? I don't understand. Doubt.
Doubt in people's
Okay.
minds.
Yeah. I see. Sorry.
And I think that's one of the reasons I wanted you here tonight to give us some vital information as much as you can. And I know there's a lot of stuff you can't tell us. We don't care about the medical stuff. It's just the structure and how the structure is performing, and where do you see it going?
I can give you some early indicators as to the changes that we've made and what that's actually done for the health of the organization financially. At this point, we've seen a 40% increase in the billable revenue from transfers. 40% increase in that side of what rescue's doing could yield us as much as another $300,000 or $400,000 over the course of the fiscal year. That's pretty significant to our operation. We've also at this point been able to run the operation at about $75,000 under budget for the year, and we're showing a fiscal year profit of about $150,000. So financially, the organization is actually doing very well.
How does that transfer back onto towns when you're doing extremely
Long term, I think that's going to translate it back onto towns very well. But right now, we still have that huge unknown, which is after the first of the year, how much are we actually going to be able to recover from health insurance? We also have the other issues that plague every emergency service in every town, which are capital needs. For many years, we've been very fortunate to get huge grants from Vermont Yankee to purchase ambulances. We're looking at now long term, how do we fund those major purchases without Vermont Yankee? And certainly having positive cash flow at the end of our fiscal year is one of those ways that we can fund our capital needs. So those are the other factors we're looking at. But so far, all indications are that we've got a very financially healthy organization.
Have you had any communication with Vermont Yankee for the future, what they may or may not contribute to rescue? They're still going to be there for a long time.
They are, and we've been communicating with them. Certainly, we will continue to support emergency operations at Vermont Yankee. Exactly to what extent that is, we're not sure yet.
Penny, I'd be curious to know, and Drew, I know this might be beyond your bailiwick, but I'm curious to know what you, what kind of time commitment the representation from Guilford took. It's been hard for us to get a rep, and Penny took it on, and it just felt overwhelmed by the time. Tell me again. I know you've told me before, but tell me again.
Well, the first year was monthly.
Mm-hmm.
Plus I was on another committee, so actually twice a month.
Uh-huh.
I
Evening
had
meetings. Yeah.
But unfortunately, in the past year, a little better than a year, with the board changes or trying to change, and then Brian Richardson leaving, Mark Considine stepping back, Linda Goss retiring, there's, like I said, a lot of turmoil, a lot of change, and so then we were meeting 3 and 4 times a month,
Yeah.
trying to come to terms in what is best for the organization. And unfortunately, when I resigned in December, at that point, nothing's really had been decided.
But it was just more than you had anticipated, or yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, understood. Yeah. Because finding somebody willing to take that on will be an interesting chore, unless you'd like to do that.
Now, in
I
the
don't
meantime,
want to do that.
I'm really willing to come down and keep you up to date as to what's going on, answer any questions you have, bring any concerns that you have back to the board.
Well, yeah, I guess, you've expressed some of your concerns, I've expressed some of mine, I think.
Sorry, Katie.
Well, here's one. Now, I don't know, are you contracted through the state to respond on 91?
Yeah.
It's the responsibility of the actual town.
Okay. All right.
Good question, because most of your calls on the interstate are in Vernon, right?
No, there are a lot of them in Guilford, aren't they?
Not too many.
We've been billed for some.
It depends on where the
I mean, I guess
We get billed. We
Yeah.
get billed for them, but a lot of most of them are in Vernon.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Guilford has a very small portion of the interstate, technically. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Fine.
Anybody else? Katie? Anything?
Do you have an annual professional audit?
Yes, I do. And if you'd like to come, I'd be glad to go over that with you.
Okay. So it is available to look at?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can come up to the office, I'll be glad to go over it with you.
Well, I appreciate you coming down and
Yeah.
talking to us, because it is disconcerting both to read things in the paper and, hear Penny's, concerns, and, just, as I said, my husband was a rescue volunteer for many years and loved it, and would love to be doing it still if he had the time. Like, so there still are some volunteers who are doing it, but I do think it's too bad that the organization is struggling, it's in turmoil.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do the organization or the community any good at all. I wish you good luck in sorting out whatever it's, getting a good executive director on board and getting things stabilized.
Thank you.
Thanks.
for coming. Miranda,
Oh,
you came to the door just the right
that
time.
wasn't very dignified, was it? Okay, so do I sit over here?
Sure.
You can sit wherever you'd like,
sit wherever
except
you'd like.
Ian would like you to sit somewhere where he can see
Where
your
you can
face.
see
So
your-
Yeah.
Oh,
Should we
Hi.
need to move this way because of the chairs there?
Yeah,
no,
let's
no,
move it this way.
I'm
There
completely.
you go.
We try to put Ann in the corner most of the time.
Nobody puts the
Oh,
baby in
okay,
a
well,
corner.
I don't want to block access
no, please
to it.
do.
I know we're all having, those of us who have hair are really having bad
Bad hair days.
What do you mean?
Well, that's what I mean. You're like a role model for the.
Mr. Clean?
That's right.
Bald-headed people of America.
So, Miranda, I know, Troy and Dick, that I read the sort of the one pager, the letter that you had written to us in advance, and I responded. I don't know that you got the response. I just hit reply all, so I'm not sure if Miranda was in that thread. But I'm very excited by this proposal, by this possibility. As you know, I've been after the Cemetery Commission for years to, put some money into restoring and preserving our cemeteries. And this looks like this might be a way that we can do that without significant financial impact on the town. And Connie seems like a great find.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be happy either just to talk about it or answer questions. What would be most helpful?
Go ahead and talk about it.
Give us a nutshell version of it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't talk too much because Dick will go crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, we've been very frustrated on the Cemetery Commission with getting good help. Good help is really hard to find. And, and Anne has been really consistent in raising the issue about our disintegrating treasures, and and I see it all the time as a cemetery wonk. It's a terrible thing.
That's the first time I've heard that expression.
Well, I just made it up.
I love it.
And several years ago, we put in our budget funding to have Charlie Marchant, who is the eminence in Vermont, come and walk through the cemeteries and give us a report and really a work plan. And really, he never did. The extensive notes that came from all that came from me, from writing furiously down what he said. And I mean, it was just, it was frustrating. I mean, the remedies, he did teach Sean how to even up stones, and I'm not at all certain, whether there are other opinions about how to do this. So Connie, as I said in my letter, Connie and I went to college together. Connie, Richard Wazansky, Don McLean, we all started out at Boston University together, and then when we bought the farm over at Packer Corners, Connie came and lived with us, and the cemeteries were, the local cemeteries were sort of on our beat. And then Connie went to Marlborough College and began her art history training and moved on from there. But she always maintained very close ties with our neighborhood and even bought land around the corner. And so she and I have been talking about the cemeteries, and she's very interested in non-toxic remedies for the problems that you can see on the stones, the growth of bacteria and moss and lichen and all that split stones, all that stuff. I mean, I'm not an expert on it, but she's worked on stones all over the world. I mean, I don't want to brag on her behalf, but she's very much in demand. They want her to go to Yemen. She's going to New Mexico, and she would really like to be able to start something locally. She's currently living in Brattleboro, and what she would like to put into place is an important pilot project that could lead into, I guess you might say there are three strands. One is preservation of worked stone. Another part of it is community service learning, place-based education. Having the students in Brattleboro
At the high school level.
Have a deeper connection both to to doing hands-on science, and also, I mean, there's a whole prospectus here.
So, so
yeah.
that's preservation, place-based education, and what's the third strand?
The third strand is dissemination of these methods that will have an impact. I mean, she didn't say 3 strands. That's what it looks like to me.
Right, got it.
That every cemetery in Vermont is facing this same thing.
So Miranda, so this, as I understand it, this is actually this is a grant proposal, correct? And you're looking for our endorsement of a grant.
Yes.
To whom?
The grant will go, well, what we're putting together is a partnership between Connie as the resident expert in partnership with the Cemetery Commission, which is a commission of the town of Guilford, and either Brattleboro Union High School, if Brattleboro Union High School wants to do it, or if they're not able to do it, then perhaps the Compass School, which also has students, to begin the process. So in terms of getting the grants, Connie had different ideas about who would be the fiscal agent for the grant. My feeling is that if the town of Guilford was able to do that, it would be better than, let's say, trying to go to the museum and have the museum be it, or
I think the fiscal agency piece is, to me, like a little piece. Correct? That's not a
I
big
feel
deal.
like it's a pretty small piece.
Yeah, but
compared
to me
the actual project.
you have some ideas of, or Connie does, of places she's going to go after grants. Is that she?
Yes,
okay.
She's very well connected, and I'll be happy to help her or to draw down whatever expertise. I have 2 of these.
We've got a couple.
I mean, I have one of them, and you have one of them.
So, and I'm not meaning to.
No, please.
I keep interrupting, and I'm sorry.
Oh, I love being
because I'm
interrupted.
sick.
It's a
and so I'm
Jewish
like,
thing.
yeah.
No, we're a very interruptive group.
That's where we get along so well.
It's
So, what I'm understanding from what you would like from the select board, in anticipation of Connie, maybe to put in a packet, is just sort of like a blanket,
Exactly.
like a to whom it may concern letter of support.
Yes, and
Okay.
the kind of endorsement that I would put, if I were writing it in a grant proposal. Now,
So there's not a specific one in mind right now, but she's going to go after them.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, the first step is to go to the school with all of her ducks lined up. And all you have to do is look at this and you realize that her ducks
Are lined up.
up. So should I talk now, or do you want to ask questions?
What is the financial burden on the town?
I think the financial burden on the town, I think that it would be nice if we put and if we were able, the cemetery commission, let's say, got signatures to put an item on the warning to give, say, $2,500 of, seed money to this project. I mean, which, if in the grant world, represents a commitment from the town. Now, Connie has to go to, Connie and I'll probably go with her, to the high school. They don't know anything about this project, because she is the kind of, I would have called them up on the telephone myself and just said, give me a feeling.
So, but my guess about financial commitment is that it depends on the grant. Some grant's going to say, I want you, the town, or somebody to commit X percent. It's sort of, it's like good faith
Right,
money, or commit what we've often done is like in kind, some
Exactly.
labor, things like that. So I think it's a hard question as long as there's not a specific grant she's going
Well, as a matter of fact, just to say, Connie has put in more than $1,000 of in-kind work. If you look carefully through this, the town has not been charged anything for the extensive research that has gone on to get us this far.
Because see, my take on it, and I'm being my usual stingy self,
Oh, that's okay.
is to totally endorse this project without any financial attachment at this time. In other words, when you come back and say, yeah, we've got the high school, or yeah, we've got this school, and the grant's all in place and all that, and then talk about financial.
Sure, and I agree with that because we're talking about unknowns right now. We don't want to say if there were a grant and she applied for a grant for $100,000 and the grant said and we anticipated 50% commitment. In other words, I think we can't commit when we don't know what we're committing to.
Exactly.
But I am completely comfortable writing a letter of endorsement saying we are on board. I wouldn't say we definitely won't commit any money.
No, at this time.
Because we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I think the idea of supporting this effort, I think that's great, and I think it's wonderful to have her energy to spearhead this and yours. And
Yeah, and so, just part of the hopeful idea of this is that even, all across the country and, in Vermont, the so-called STEM curriculum of science, technology, engineering and math, right?
Yeah.
That there is such an emphasis on bringing people up to speed on this. Yeah,
I have to back up to
please.
in my usual again.
that's
When
fine.
you first started talking about cemeteries, you said something about buying the farm. You probably picked up on that, didn't you?
Buying the farm, right. It's true.
I would be in hay.
That's right. I hope that our TV audiences will enjoy our
Well,
nuanced
you know what that means.
Of course, do I know what it means. That's right. If you read my book, it will quote Maynard Squires,
Why did you do that to me?
He bought the farm, he was broke, said Maynard, who
I
did.
know you were sitting over there just itching to say that. Yeah.
And in terms of a financial commitment, at any rate, we probably couldn't pull it. We can't pull it together right now to do something in this fiscal year.
No.
But that's not what you're asking for.
No, that's not what I'm
I
asking
think
for.
what I would suggest is just that we draft a letter
Yes.
and that for our next school board meeting that we would be select board that we would be. I was thinking of you going to BUHS, but that we would be happy to write a letter of endorsement. I'd like to make a motion to that effect.
I will second that monthly motion.
In favor.
Great, and I'll get back to you about, I'll get back to you to see what happens. Connie would not even phone the high school until
Yeah, that's what I say, we
she
deal with that.
got, until she
Until she got
felt
what?
as if, until she felt as if we had dotted every I and crossed every T about, that the town really wanted this to happen.
I'll go with to a high BUHS board meeting.
I think it would be great. I think that right now what she's going to be doing is going to the chair of the science department and the certain science teacher who she's targeted, who does hands-on science. And, this pilot project is going to involve maybe 6 kids or maybe 12 kids, depending on how it goes. I mean, the first layer of it, as you can read in here, is all monitoring. Monitoring conditions in the cemetery to see what must happen in order to do the proper work.
We're dealing with a fantastic project and idea here. Just there's so many unknowns right at the moment.
Well, yeah, and I'm always impatient, like when you have to do sort of like needs assessments, how I did feasibility studies. I'm always like, let's just get to it. But I understand.
No,
that's
she
what has to
is
happen.
so
She's by
not
the
like
book,
that.
yeah.
I mean, it's just that
She
these
knows what she's
remedies are not, as she says, shovel ready.
Right.
They're not shovel ready. They're
that term very well.
Well,
From Irene.
I'm excited because I think if she can bring this energy to this project,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to endorse it.
yeah.
There's a possibility it's obviously not going to happen this year. I would say perhaps once the grant comes through, you
Well, what
might
would
be able
happen-
to just put it in your budget. rather
Yes,
than
well,
have a separate,
that's
yeah.
what,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know,
The plan.
Anne
Yeah.
has been, you know, really after us to take care of what's been broken, and we wanted to, we just didn't know how.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You know, and so this is.
That's great.
And you know, if people need some bedtime reading, you know, how, you know, state of the art stone remediation is very interesting. Could take it.
Excuse me.
Exactly. So, right. So, well, that's just great.
Ladies.
As a confirmed insomniac, that might do the trick for me.
Oh, it's worked for me, believe me.
Do you maybe want to amend your motion so that we would be able to have the board chair sign it, and so it doesn't have to wait 2 weeks?
Sure. It depending. I don't know. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, I think that having it,
If you sign it-
ASAP.
Okay, good. I
Would
didn't.
be
That's fine.
really
If you
great.
want to send it around and we just do a little email, that'd be great. So I will amend my motion so that the select board write a letter of endorsement approved by the board via email and signed by the chair.
Mm-hmm. Terrific.
Okay.
Is everybody with that?
Awesome.
Hey, we're okay with it? He can do it.
Yeah, all right. All in favor?
And I think he'll go to the school board meeting, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah,
Well, I guess
pretty
the
likely.
school board will be later. I think that the first approach is to the science department, and then
Absolutely.
we can bring out all our big
Well, that's
ones.
why I didn't know if it was an
Metaphorically.
ASAP thing, but I'd be happy
Yeah.
to do that way,
Yeah.
just to expedite
I
it.
mean, we'd really like to try to get this going in this year, because
Yeah.
she had it all worked out to be with middle school students, and then we know where that went.
Well, there's
Oh,
middle
that's
school
not
and
even
there's BAMS, and I wouldn't
Well,
put
they
away.
said that they couldn't. I think that
Ingrid was-
I think that we approached the after-school program there.
I see.
And they already had their clubs, all lined up. But Ingrid would certainly support.
She's retiring.
She's
All
retired.
right, so yeah.
Ingrid is retiring. Holy.
It's official. I'm not blowing it. I got a letter in the
Wow.
mail as a parent, so I feel like
Oh,
I
Well,
okay, wow.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Here's my engagement ring.
Oh, I've seen it online.
Yes, it's true. As seen on, Richard and I are getting married, so there you have it.
And just FYI, I don't think this is a bad hair day. I like it. I think your hair looks great together.
Well, thank you. It's, I do my best.
Thank you, Brenda.
So do I need to leave this other
We got
copy
two.
with your?
We got copies here, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you
Great.
soon.
Thank you, Miranda.
Okay, sure thing.
Approval, town warning.
Oh,
Well,
can we go over it?
Sure.
Can I
Want me
see
to
it
go
on
through the
paper?
articles?
Or
Do you
should I
want
pull
me
it?
to, do you want me to just say them out loud?
No.
And then I also have the benefit of? Or do you need to be that in depth? You read through it?
I read through it.
Okay. I mean,
just-
I don't
honestly,
think
there's
so.
nothing
I just-
mysterious about
Okay,
that.
I want to just check one thing, going back to my okay.
What?
I wanted to just check, we decided at the last board meeting to put under other business, both the idea of a recreation commission.
I don't think we put other business actually listed on there. I think you have to bring it up.
That's
It
brought
says
up.
to transact other business, it would be
Right.
under Article
Yeah.
19.
Yeah.
But there was another thing we were gonna do under other business.
We're going to talk about AFD.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so those are my
That's
only.
all-
Yep,
that's all
okay.
part of
That's
our-
all part of Article 19. Are we
Article
first
19.
or second this year? I still can't remember. We're second.
Second.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is fine. That's the only thing.
I mean, there's nothing. The only thing that's on there that's different is adding another library trustee.
Oh, all right.
And that's right at the beginning. And then we have the different properties that are voted
All right.
exemptions.
Bye,
Thank you,
Miranda.
Miranda.
Congratulations. Okay, good, okay,
The Grange, the fire
Has
station, that sort of stuff.
okay. Good. And these Recreation Club and Fair Association aren't on every year because
No, it's every 5
every
years.
Every
5 years.
5 years,
Got
yeah.
it. Okay, I'd like to make a motion. Oh, wait, can't do that. I'll have to wait for our
Actually,
chair.
that's where Richard went.
No, let's not do that.
I
So,
think people can guess.
yeah. All right.
Can we go
Can
to
we
commercial?
Yeah, let's
Commercial interruption?
recess.
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 recess or whatever, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the warning for the articles for town meeting as written.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Certificate of highway mileage. Any changes in that?
Well, that's I don't know, is there?
I don't know. Which way's Butter Nut Hill Road go?
No, I think it was more the question about some of the ancient roads.
Yeah, let's skip right by that one for now until we get. Gotta get a hold of that map of the.
I don't know where it went.
I know where it went. I just can't find the guy who's got it.
Okay, I was gonna say.
And that's. Yeah. I know. I looked.
Yeah, I know,
Get
I'm
the
like,
pitchforks
there's
out,
not
light
a-
the torches. We're going on a bounty.
So is there a timeline by which we have to sign the certificate of highway mileage?
It needs to be
Next
to
month.
V-Trans by the 20th or before of
Of-
February.
Okay. And so what are we missing? Just because I'm being...
Well, if we're gonna
If
put
we
the
were gonna
ancient
add
roads
any
on,
ancient
one or
roads.
two that,
Oh, right.
yeah,
Lest we forget.
and
The
there's-
deadline is the mileage certificate 2015.
I really wish we could get this so we could get this figured out.
so we, yeah,
So we're tabling this.
the table is, yes. No old business, no discussion. Highway.
Hi, Dan.
Hi guys. Hi Ian. Hi camera.
Hello, viewers at home.
Yeah.
Guilford audience.
You having a bad hair
And
day?
No,
beyond.
I ain't having a bad hair day. The other one's having a good hair day.
That hurt my last feeling. It's gone.
Get on
Hi,
it.
Ian.
Somebody interrupt.
Yeah, can we sign that?
Yeah, you guys
A lot of
need to
that going
sign
around.
that.
Oh, I gotta tell you something after the meeting, but that's
Okay. So I just figured I'd stop over and give you guys a heads up on how our winter budget is doing. Right now it's about 60% on the sand budget and about almost 75% on their salt budget.
Yeah, it's been such
I
a...
think we're gonna be probably a little over if the one that keeps going the way it is right now.
The cold and the
Yeah,
ice.
yeah.
It's not so much snow, it's cold and ice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, other than that, I mean, it's basically everything else is pretty good so far.
Hmm.
Well, it's just been a long winter.
Yeah. It's been
Yeah,
long and
We
cold.
still got 2 more months to go yet. We got February and March to go, so.
Yeah, but daylight savings is on the 9th of March.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
Can I
I
ask
think
you a
that's
question
saying
about the recycle bins in terms of the plowing of them? Are we, I mean, I'm trying to remember what's in our contract with that, the town
You
is
just gotta
renting.
do that area around the bins.
Right, and that's been
That's-
happening?
No, Chucky's been plowing that.
Oh, okay, so he's been plowing the
I don't
area
know yet.
around the bins?
Yeah.
So we haven't been doing that?
No,
No one told me to plow it, so.
I only plowed them when I was plowing the store out. Until never did it.
Yeah, okay. I
Devin
just,
always hit it too.
Yeah, so. We got enough to do without plowing them
Yeah.
things out.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I just didn't know if,
You know, we
what
could do it
the,
afterwards, but I mean, where they push the snow, they got them spaced so whoever plows the
I know,
dooryard.
it's hard. I just,
Yeah.
so there's that. I guess my concern really isn't so much the plowing, it's because you're talking about ice. I worry about people, I think
Yeah,
I
I
called you
stopped
about
it.
that once, about
Yeah.
about sanding them, because
Yeah.
that's scary about someone falling on that ice.
Well, here we go again. I'm gonna say, I got more important things to be doing besides, I got roads to tend to.
I
It'll be
understand.
last on the list if it gets done.
Yeah, I understand. It's just, it seems to me that if somebody slips on their way to the recycle bins, is that not a town liability issue?
No, it should be on private property. I mean, that's on, it'd be,
Even
I'm just
though-
gonna say.
I mean, that's where you,
I think-
Okay, that's why I
I
just
think,
didn't know how the
yeah,
lease.
I-
I'd have to see the lease.
No, I think it. I know that we hate having this conversation, but placement of those bins, we should.
Yeah, and not now, not this
No,
time of
I
year.
just- No,
but
not
they-
now. But I'm saying that
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
there's.
And that's the way to go, because our lease probably just says we lease this space at X amount of
Yeah.
space. It doesn't say anything about our tending
Do
to
you
them.
have a new lease?
No.
Yeah.
Since the Alex
Yeah,
says-
there is some wording in there, but
Yeah, oh yeah, since
Since-
Pat.
Since Pat's
Oh,
been
yeah,
gone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have an annual lease.
yeah, there is some wording in there, but I can't remember.
All right, let's just check it out. I'm not being a jerk here. I'm just thinking about the
No,
town's liability.
I think we can do it, but it's gonna be after, it's like.
I
the school,
understand, Danny.
it's
I understand,
all-
and I'm just my concern is if somebody fell and cracked their heads and sued the town of Guilford. That's where my concern lies.
Well,
I just want to know whose responsibility it is.
Depends
And
on which pin they fell on. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's
yeah.
just,
Should probably, if it's really, really an issue, it could probably put a barrel of sand down there and somebody could just,
yeah, no, I
mean, these guys, yeah.
yeah, that day you called me, I was going right by.
I know you. I totally missed it. You had just missed it. I get it. I just would like to know in the lease or somewhere, and we don't need to find it now.
I
But
stopped in, I was throwing some salt around with a shovel by hand, everybody said, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
I said, I'm feeding the chickens.
Yeah,
I don't think people realize the whole relationship between
No,
the town, the
it is.
recycle bins, the store, and the whole
yeah,
arrangement. I think there's so much taken for granted that they're just there.
Yeah.
I don't think
Right.
people really understand
yeah.
the involvement that goes into it.
Okay, just checking about our liability, our responsibility.
I don't know about liability, but there is some stuff in that contract, but.
Well, we could just take a look at
We
it.
just
I mean,
look
as
at
far
it.
as if there's snow, I mean, because they do leave them wide apart, I mean, if
Yeah.
it needed to be pushed back.
I'm not- as I said-
I've gone down there before when they've taken the dumpsters out, just because the snow and stuff had been built up and cleaned it, so when they brought it back in
Sure,
so they could set it back.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I spent whole day on my tractor years ago pushing that back and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So I
it's-
mean, it's never been high on the town priority list. So.
That's because your tractor's blue, that's why you spent all day.
Well, I know.
And
Oh,
then you got green. And I didn't get the other part where you get down there and you're pushing the snow back and they say, well, what are you doing down here doing this?
Who says that?
Just,
Sounds
you
folks.
get people that call you up, well, you wanna know why you're doing what you're doing.
You get people upset because if these guys are going down the road
Well,
and they have to back up into somebody's driveway,
that's
they yap. They will call over there and say, well, what are you doing up so and so's driveway?
I understand. My concern is only about
Liability,
our
yeah,
liability.
right.
If what you would say to a townsperson is that the town is responsible for this or not. I just need to be
Right.
clear on that so that
Oh, yeah.
that there's not a safety issue.
So we're 60%
Sick, you're beating me up. I don't know.
Yeah, here, take a look and see what.
should have brought some cold snap.
Should
Oh,
have.
my
I could
goodness.
have my herbal tea, but I don't want it back.
Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much, all the equipment's been running pretty good. Finally got our mower back the other day. That's good.
Saw that it was.
That's helpful.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got it. I mean, it was one of the things that, just waiting.
And the
Well,
sander's working well.
Yep. Just waiting for winter to get over, waiting for the brown goo.
Next
It's a-comin'.
excitement.
I think we're gonna have some mud this year.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
I think we're gonna have some.
we've already had one hit of it, and all those ruts then
Yeah.
grow solid. That's fun.
Yeah. Cool.
No. Basically, that's about it. All I got.
I don't have any other questions.
I just wanted to come over and give you a heads up on how our winter budget was going.
Well, it's understandable because it's been an icy time. So.
Been fairly lucky the past few years. So.
Yeah. It's,
Except for that year that you wanted to change something, that you said it never snows on a weekend.
That was when I
Yeah,
said
everything's,
on a holiday.
everything's happened on the weekends, eh?
we've gone through. I mean, it's the first time I've taken that sand shed over there and
We seen the back wall.
emptied it.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's anywhere between 2,500 and 3,000 yards. So,
I know we've been watching the trucks.
yeah.
1 week just.
And that's
going
not
around.
even full. That's only about half full right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
welcome.
Herb wanted me to remind you that it'll be fresh donuts tomorrow morning.
I told her I try to be there.
And and I guess coffee as well.
Yes, right.
Stop and get me. I'll stop in right fast.
And actually, there's, Dan, I have there, your budget status report is here with the general funds too, for you guys.
Oh,
Just if you wanna look it over.
yeah, to go through things.
Give you a kind of
Of where we
snapshot
are
of
now.
where we are
Good.
year to date, yep.
I think it really looks, repairs is pretty much,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Tell me about it. I mean, I understand it 100%.
Seems like is it the 2006 truck? Is that in a lot? Lately?
So the total highway expenses spent, just help me out here with this, on the highway budget, where it says 7931.
Okay, 774 on the back page of highway. The reason that looks so high, year to date, is that
Yeah,
what you're looking at?
no, but thanks, you can talk to me about that too.
I will talk to you about that. Because if you turn on the front page,
Yeah.
for your treatment,
Mm.
you'll see that the actual is 309,168. These are just expenses, so what this doesn't show is the revenue side, which we got a $153,000 grant.
Okay, got
So
it.
if you add, kind of think about it this way and add 153,000, or take 153,000 off
Off
expenses.
expenditures, got it.
Yeah, that gives you a better picture as to where we are.
Okay.
What's this, 111,564?
Up on the first side, the
Surplus.
transfer out surplus.
That is the 2012 highway surplus that got put in a reserve fund so that the fund balance looked year to date. You can see a more realistic number. So it sits, I can show you where it sits right here. Okay, so it's sitting in the capital fund as its own
It's, and that's just a surplus,
Just
that, and
surplus
this highway's
highway.
the only place the surplus rolls over.
right here.
Yeah.
So
It is.
that's a way so that it didn't get
We don't have that piece of
lost in
paper,
the
do we?
shuffle.
No, no.
No, actually, this is the next thing I'm gonna ask about.
Yeah, okay.
Because, your highway surplus will probably, you had mentioned would be going towards, equipment purchase, Dan,
Yeah,
for the grader?
yeah,
It's kind of why it sits there, just so we know the dollar amount,
yeah.
so.
Oh,
Or in this case, we may have to use it to make up our
Right.
downfall
right,
for
right.
if we have a bad winter and a bad
But it gets
spring.
tricky when it doesn't get moved
Right,
out, because
yeah.
when you have year after year of audit, you don't know what your fund balance is at
Right.
the end of the year, because
Right.
it just builds up, so
We-
it's hard to pick it out.
you ever just go there with the FEMA
No. What do you mean, for the large projects?
for,
I have to- yeah, I have to sit and
for
submit
the
all that.
money coming to
Mhm.
us? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
The work's done. The work was done September 30th.
Which one's the 04, this Dickey's truck, right?
So you're saying that FEMA
06
still owes us
Allen's?
money?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to do all the submissions
12 is
for the
yours.
large projects, so
Falls mine,
I
yeah.
do need to do that.
In the back when we had, all we had to do was pins and bushes.
Yeah, I know all those pins and bushes. That's
All right,
freaking killed us.
And
Okay.
grader,
Thank you for letting it, for sharing
grader
it.
and put new tires on, that's why that big cost.
Well, that was the back. That was the back 4 tires, right?
Yeah. No,
You didn't do all
And that's,
6.
so the next
No,
item on
just
the
did the
agenda you were
back
talking
four.
about is,
So we
Yeah,
took the
that I
better
have,
of the 2 back
under
ones and
finance,
put
got
them
it.
in front, didn't we?
No, we saved
so
it.
budget status
You
report is
saved it.
actually
That's
what we
did.
just
I
did.
remember you
Yes.
did something with
Yeah.
it. I
Kind of
couldn't remember what you
Into
did.
that real quickly.
Or just in
And I
case.
mean, if you were to look at our bottom line budget performance year to date for the general
Allen's
fund,
one of
Uh-huh.
the
and you'll
big
see that
cost
there's
and
not much
tires
left
too.
in there.
Yeah.
That's
I was
because
gonna
most
say
of
we
our
did
money
tires,
was
right?
spent.
Yeah,
Up
tires
front.
on his.
Yeah,
The rest of the stuff is pretty much all just.
so are we on there?
Yeah,
So those are those.
separation of funds from capital funds?
Actually, I'm asking for the, yes, to the bridge fund and the Green River Covered Bridge Fund live in the capital fund in our books and have for some time. I want to separate them into their own funds so that they automatically track themselves.
I thought they was in
Yeah,
there separate.
didn't,
They're in the capital fund, but I have to
you gotta put them
Do
out on
these-
their own.
do these crazy
Yeah.
things to transfer money. I
Oh,
have to do a lot
okay.
of journal entries to get it to
I
look
thought
like
they-
that.
I
And
thought
I
it's
thought they was in their own different.
Yeah, I thought the
No.
Green River Bridge Fund was a fund started
It's-
specifically for.
It is on.
Oh,
If
but
you look at the
but
amount, but from
you-
an accounting perspective,
Okay.
it lives in the capital.
It's
fund.
it's
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's
So
numbers
it's
like
all
the
on-
capital
Yeah,
fund.
so like the capital fund is 004. I want to give them their own fund number, which means they'll move out of capital and be reported as separate funds.
And these are all, I assume, just accounting suggestions from like audits and things like that to make things
Yeah.
and make it so you have to do fewer journal
Absolutely,
entry
that's the
transfers.
goal. And
right?
when we first started doing all our work on the books, we focused on general fund and highway fund. These are
These you're getting more
vestiges.
sophisticated.
Yes.
Okay. Do you need a motion to that effect?
yes, please. For the
I would
accountants.
I would like to make the motion that we transfer the Bridges Fund and the Green River Covered Bridge Fund to their own fund.
Their own account number
Their own
Move
account
to
number.
create separate funds.
Yeah, move to create a separate fund
and take them out of the capital fund.
and take them out of the capital fund. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. You know what I'd like to do with that Green River?
No. Treatment of highway surplus funds. Keep in capital and create separate.
That was, do you want it to stay in, are you okay with it staying
Yeah,
in the
it's,
capital
I'm
fund?
fine.
Because I
That's
didn't know
fine.
if highway surplus is traditionally used for capital purchases or,
No, normally it was, we always used the funds that was left over in for like gravel or
Right.
whatever else we needed.
Often you would get a good deal purchasing gravel early.
Well, no, I mean, you just.
I mean, if you had extra
Right,
surplus
we always
money.
just rolled it over
Yeah.
and kept it in that.
well, that's why I was thinking of creating a highway fund to hold the surplus. And then when you needed money from it, it would be a transfer back into your highway fund as
You can
revenue.
do that, yeah.
Just,
that'd be good.
just for an
Yeah.
accounting.
That way keep a,
Okay,
I mean, a better track of it.
okay. Then can I have a?
Yeah, I would make another motion that we actually take highway surplus funds out of the capital fund and create our own separate fund to track those highway surplus amounts.
Second your motion.
Yeah, because what we used to do is designated so much for retreatment, designated so
Sure.
much for gravel or, you know, stuff like
Favor?
that, so.
Aye.
Aye,
How come I don't get to make the motion?
because you're chair.
Oh,
Oh, you don't have to be for a couple months. Someone else can.
Yeah.
Good.
Think you can take turns if you wanted to.
never mind, never mind.
Sidebar.
Are you going to sleep over there? All right, anything else, Dan? You-
I got nothing else, I mean, just
Thank you,
Just
Dan.
wanted to give you a heads up on our winter situation.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny one because we haven't had that much, and we don't have like deep snow outside, but it's been a lot of work
Been
on
a
this
lot of
road.
rain.
Yeah, a lot of rain and then ice.
Yeah, these little storms.
I'll tell you
Of
a
course,
story
our cold
after the
weather
meeting.
is. Of course, you get these freezing rainstorms. We go through the sand like it's.
Oh, no
Oh, yeah.
kidding.
It takes us about 200 yards into the sand once. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Sand down.
And then it gets cold
once.
enough and it just,
It blows off
yeah,
or
yeah.
sinks down through.
Okay, I guess we can trot along into warrants.
I'd like to make the following motions that we pay payroll of $119.14 for $6,127.23. Payroll of $126.14 for $7,147.23. For a total of payroll for $13,274.46. Along with that, warrant number 13 for $83,377.28. And warrant 13 DP for $185.50. For a total of all expenses for $96,837.24.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Bless you.
Bless you.
You're getting sick.
I am already sick, sorry.
Go to the doctor.
No, I just,
Jägermeister and brandy.
yeah.
Yes. A Meister brandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good news is I feel better.
It took me 10 days.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not.
It took me
That's
10
what
days of antibiotics.
That's Katie's, I'm not taking that route.
That's what
Could be
I'm.
weak.
I'm sorry. I had to.
Where's the big-
Okay, that's it.
Do you want me to quickly whip through these communications?
Sure.
Wastewater permit for Louise, was that a yes? Okay.
Sure.
For Louise Lanoy, we had her application last time,
Right.
so it's the same thing. Vermont League of Cities and Towns, 2014 Municipal Policy Priorities, and a letter from Franklin Land Trust letting us know about the annual self-guided bike tour,
Yeah.
which I
Well,
believe goes through the
apologize for
Green
that.
River Covered Bridge,
Which what?
which goes through the Green River Covered Bridge, that area. Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.